Okay, let's talk about a sense you probably never even knew you had. It's not sight, it's not sound, it's not touch. It is a hidden sense, working deep inside you that is quietly shaping your entire emotional world, from whether you feel happy to whether you feel anxious. I mean, think about it. Since you were a little kid, you've known about the classic five senses, right? But what if that was only part of the story? What if the most important sense, the one that truly governs how you feel day to day, was just completely left out of the lesson?
Well, it's true. There is a sixth sense, and you could almost call it the master conductor of your emotional reality. It is the reason you get those gut feelings, or why you can feel your heart pound in your chest before a big meeting. And it has a name.
That hidden sense is called interoception. Now that might sound complicated, but it's really just the science of how we notice, understand, and even regulate all the signals coming from inside our own bodies. Think of it as your brain's ability to listen in on the constant conversation that's happening inside you.
So what does that actually mean? Well, interoception is basically the process your nervous system uses to make sense of all this raw data coming from your organs. It's how your brain knows your heart is racing, or that your stomach is empty, or that your lungs are full of air. It's like the body's own secret language.
Okay, so let's dive into that. How does this secret language actually work? How does a flutter in your stomach travel all the way up to your brain and turn into an emotion like excitement or dread? The pathway, it turns out, is surprisingly direct.
It pretty much happens in 4 key steps. First, your organs are just generating raw physical data. We're talking pressure, temperature, chemical changes, that kind of stuff. Then, a massive nerve bundle, mostly the vagus nerve, acts like this information superhighway, shooting all those signals up toward the brain. Next, they hit the brainstem, which kind of compresses and organizes the data. And then finally, they arrive at their destination.
And that final destination is an absolutely crucial part of the brain called the insular cortex, or just insula for short. This is the place. This is where those raw, physical signals from your body get translated into the rich, subjective feelings that you actually experience as your emotions.
Now, to make this a little easier to picture, let's use a couple of metaphors. Think of the insula as your brain's air traffic control tower. It's taking in all this data from all over your internal landscape and deciding what it all means. And the vagus nerve? That's just the high-speed fiber optic cable connecting everything together, making sure the messages get through loud and clear.
But here is where it gets really, really cool. Your brain isn't just passively sitting there waiting for these signals to arrive. Oh no. Modern neuroscience is telling us it's actively trying to predict them. This whole revolutionary idea is called predictive coding.
So, predictive coding basically says that your brain is constantly making its best guess about what's happening inside your body at any given moment. It creates a forecast. Then, when the actual signals from your body arrive, the brain compares them to its forecast. And here's the kicker. It's the mismatch, the prediction error, that really grabs your attention and generates a feeling.
This is perfectly illustrated with a simple metaphor. Imagine your brain is a master chef. The prediction it makes is the recipe. It's what the chef expects the dish to be like. The actual signal from your body, that's the final taste. And the emotion you feel, that is the prediction error, that surprise difference between the recipe and how it actually tastes. If it's way off, you better believe the chef is going to take notice.
Now, this whole system is incredible when it works, but it's not foolproof. So what happens when that internal communication line breaks down? When the signals get crossed? Well, that can become the root of some very common mental health challenges.
This kind of dysfunction can really go in 2 different directions. On one hand, you can have blunted signals. This is when your brain just isn't listening properly. It's ignoring or misreading the body's messages. And that's often linked to things like emotional numbness or depression. But on the other hand, you can have amplified signals. This is where the brain is over-listening, freaking out about every tiny sensation. And that pattern is strongly connected to anxiety and panic.
So, for someone with this kind of interoceptive anxiety, it's really like having a broken smoke detector. You see, a normal system detects a real fire and sounds the alarm, but a hypersensitive system, it goes off just from a piece of toast burning, sending your entire body into a full-blown state of emergency over a totally minor and harmless signal.
Okay, so that's the problem. But here's the good news. Knowing all this is one thing, but can you actually do anything about it? Can you train this hidden sixth sense to be more accurate? The answer from researchers is a huge, resounding yes. Which brings us to a really practical question, doesn't it? If your internal radio station just feels like it's full of static, or maybe the volume is turned way, way down, how do you tune in and actually get a clearer signal? And this really matters because getting better at this can have a massive impact on your emotional well-being. The research points to a few really clear practical exercises. Things like mindfulness meditation, which just teaches you to notice bodily sensations without immediately judging them as good or bad. Or body scans, where you systematically focus your attention on different areas, from your toes all the way up to your head. Even super simple exercises, like just focusing on the subtle feeling of your own breathing or trying to feel and count your own heartbeat without taking your pulse. All of this can sharpen this internal sense. And the goal here is absolutely key. It is not about trying to control your body or force it to feel a certain way. It is simply about getting better at hearing its signals clearly. A perfect way to think about it is like tuning an old-school radio. You're not trying to change the song that's playing, you're just adjusting the dial to get rid of the static so you can hear the music more clearly. So, we'll leave you with this final thought. Just as you're sitting here right now, take a second and just listen. Forget the outside world for a moment and tune inward. What are those subtle signals? What is your body trying to tell you? Because learning to listen, well, that could change everything.